All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to another pop up live stream art studio from my living room, from the living room, or for the living room. It's good to be back. So, who is out there watching today? Let's see. If you're here, if you're watching, say hello so I know we're getting through and everybody can hear us. That's becoming a little ritual, isn't it? Hmm. How's everyone doing out there? It's been another one of those weeks, I think, for folks. Let's see, it's cold outside. The sun is shining today, which is lovely, but it's been mighty cold. I think it feels like winter has been hanging on a little too long, at least for us folks here in Oshawa. I know there are folks who watch these who live all over. So let me just take a moment to say hello to our friends in the States who are watching or who will watch this later on, our friends in Europe and the UK. We love you and we're thinking about you, and we hope that you and your loved ones are well and doing okay. It's difficult times, and I think we're all beginning to feel it in a different way. So I'm going to try and be mindful of that today as we move forward. I'm going to try and incorporate some of the themes of the day because for those of you who've maybe lost track of time, it's Earth Day. So happy Earth Day, everyone. Hi, Austin. Welcome back. Austin says, back again for another week of art. It's so good to hear from you, Austin. How are you doing? Are you making anything special? Let's see. I think I can give that a heart. Now, let's see. Now, as you know, I'm still getting used to the technology. I know. You think I'd have it all by now. Um, but if you're not seeing me respond to your questions or comments, it might be because I'm forgetting to scroll. So every once in a while, just let me know and I'll see what I can do over here. But so far, it's nice to see you, Austin, or it's nice to know you're there. I hope you've been enjoying these live streams. Um, I think for speaking for myself, quite selfishly, it's been really nice to have this time to connect with you folks and to make some time in my own daily practice for art. It's easy how those simple things can sneak away on you if you're not mindful of it, if you're not trying to make space of it or for it in your life. It's all about intention, I suppose. So again, today, the theme of Earth Day and intention. I think I'd like to focus on patterns. And as we know, there are patterns in nature all around us. You can see them visually, you can feel them. Uh, the world around us. Hey, B, good to see you. The world around us is full of these patterns. Nature does very well reminding us that yes, things change, things evolve, things transform, but there is a certain stability that's there as well. And sometimes, especially during times like these that are so difficult, it's easy to forget that the earth is still there, the earth is still holding us and supporting us. And whether or not we're there for the earth will be there for us. Um, yeah, I was even thinking that today we could start out with a little tree meditation. I don't know if anyone saw the post on our Facebook page this past Monday. There's a lovely little simple tree meditation from the folks at Stanford University. And I thought, you know what? That would be a great way to begin, at least for me. If you want to join in, you can. Oh, wow. With checking in with Austin, saying he's been extremely, oh, you've been indulging in gaming. I don't think you're alone there. Animal Crossing, New Horizons. Yeah, I think a lot of people haven't incorporated that game into their self care routine, um, and I can't blame them. Blame them. It sounds super cute by the sounds of it. It sounds like it's a real comfort. And I hear they have some new versions coming out soon. I don't know. I'm not a gamer, so I don't know, but maybe it's just a wild rumor. But check it out if you're into that kind of thing. There's also been a lot of art, Animal Crossing art emerging. I think we've seen some. Hey, Shelly. Hello. Nice to see you. We've seen Animal Crossing needle felting. We've seen drawings, coloring pages inspired by Animal Crossing. Uh, Again, during these times, it's, finding that balance with yourself, knowing, whatever works, whatever helps get you through the day, whatever helps make meaning of this experience for you. So, as always, as every week, you are welcome to create whatever you want to create in whatever way you want to create it, just like if you were at the living room. Hello, Tiffany. Um, oh, okay. Yeah, I got some journaling going on there too. Um, you're welcome to create whatever you want to create or need to create. You're the boss of you. So when I'm playing with patterns today, uh, using all these sort of different kinds of papers, loose like leaves from old books, repurposed books, um, kind of ledger paper that I had hanging around and I wanted to play with, uh, kind of in a wreck this journal kind of style. Ooh, Kiri, nice. Kiri's been paint pouring, more paint pouring. Oh, I find it super relaxing watching those acrylic paint pour videos. So, if any of you have any favorite sites you'd like to visit, or Kiri, if you're interested in sharing one of your paint pours just for the process of it, oh, I would love to watch that. That would be amazing. Um, I was thinking again, just on that, like the studio. Most people here are familiar with the studio, so you're the boss of you, and this is really about having that space to connect and create and hang out, have a little bit of that studio feeling back in our lives. So again, if you're just having us on in the background and listening, doing your own thing, peeling potatoes, whatever works for you. If you want to create along with me and try out what I'm doing here, you can do that as well. If you want to keep on working on your own projects, your journals, your paint pours, your needle felting, your Animal Crossing, I'm not sure if you can do that at the same time. I mean, why not? You can give it a try. Let me know how it works out. But to start, hey Suzanne, if folks would like to join me in a little tree meditation, you're more than welcome. And again, I'm doing this mostly for myself, so you can explain to folks if they tune in and I'm kind of just babbling to myself with my eyes closed what's happening. But to begin, wherever you are, wherever I am, I want to imagine, we can all imagine that we are trees. Artsy fartsy, I know, but bear with me. So imagine that you are a tree. Imagine the kind of tree you want to be, okay? There's all different kinds of trees out there. And imagine at that place of contact you have with the floor, your feet, or your feet moving, the weight of you being held up by the chair you're sitting on. You could be standing doing this as well. So imagining at that point of contact that your feet are like roots reaching into the ground, connected to the earth. And the earth is feeding you through those roots. So just feeling the weight of you supported by the earth, that point of contact through your feet. Begin imagining the energy of the earth reaching up through your roots, feeding into your body, up your legs, your shins, past your knees, into your thighs. Feeling that energy lengthen you, lighten you, lift you up as it makes you strong. Feel that stability that the earth is offering you. And just notice that feeling, wave after wave of that energy coming from the earth. Now as that energy reaches up to your spine, again, lifting you, lengthening you, strengthening you. When you feel it coming into your arms, imagine those arms, your chest opening up, spreading out, reaching out. If you'd like to actually do those actions and let your arms float up in any way they'd like to. Imagining that they're branches of the tree, reaching out, connecting with branches of other trees in the canopy of the forest. And feel that point of connection with the earth, lifting all the way through you, the stability that it offers, the energy that it offers. With every breath, feeling your branches, your arms reaching, spreading out, and connecting with those other branches, because you're not alone, right? We're all a part of this forest. And when our branches connect, as they do, that creates the forest canopy. And what's cool about canopies of the forest, they become homes and pathways for all kinds of wildlife, creating new homes, new safe spaces, pathways for knowledge to be shared, for resources to be shared. If you can imagine, if you like to imagine that, imagine what kind of wildlife has found comfort and safety on you. Oh, hello, phone. It's meditation in life, baby. You can imagine, if you like, that there are leaves growing out of your fingers. Things haven't burst out yet here in Oshawa, but things are in bloom. You can just see it right, just beginning to happen. Now, as your leaves are spreading out on your branches, you can also take time to move your focus back, redirecting that energy back into your chest, up through your spine, up through the top of your head, to the sky, and moving above yourself into the sky to look down over the canopy of the forest that you've created for yourself. Imagine what kind of landscape it is, where you'd like to be. I find things like that sometimes really helpful. You don't always have to say it out loud to yourself. In fact, you don't have to at all. But once you get used to that process, just feeling the earth supporting you, providing that stability, feeding you, you can kind of do that meditation anywhere you like, whether you're standing in line somewhere or whether you're sitting watching TV. It's kind of a sneaky kind of meditation to play with. So anytime you want. And the main link we have, again, is on our Facebook page this past Monday. Okay? Oh, excellent. So people are popping in. Suzanne, bye-bye. Have fun. And we have Bridget doing laundry. Excellent. Yeah, laundry, it's actually been quite a blessing to focus on little things during this time, being at home. I never thought I'd find so much comfort in the simple things like doing laundry, making food. But again, whatever creates that sense of comfort for you. And thank you for hanging in there, folks, while I was doing that little meditation. I certainly feel much more grounded now. So I invite you to practice it on your own time if you like and see how it works for you. And happy Earth Day. All right. So again, revisiting that idea of patterns. I shared some images and things online with people earlier in Facebook today, just about all those delicious, delightful fractals that we find in nature. So those are kind of, an easy way of explaining them. If anyone has a simpler way of explaining them, please feel free. Hey, Brandon. Oh, so lovely to see you. Oh, he says, so inspirational. And well, Brandon, I found your little live stream, your thing this morning, so amazing. Brandon, if anyone's interested, was talking, I think it was on behalf of DIG, and you were just updating folks about what was going on with gardens, community gardens, but also about what people can be planting right now in spite of the cold. And there are so many things that we can be planting. I've kind of got a little sneaky in our world and started planting some things in the windows, just making little kind of mini greenhouses to help things grow just with materials I have around the house. But you can direct sow stuff right now in planters and buckets directly in the ground. Things like peas. Brandon was even saying carrots. That surprised me. Just anything that's a little cold tolerant, and actually is enriched by a little frost. So kale, delicious. I've got some rapini that I might try putting out underneath some ground covers. Let me know if it's too early to put those out, but I hear they like cold too. So, see how easy it is for me to get distracted. Goodness. Okay, back to this. So, the patterns we see in nature, I tend to find that they're super inspirational. I think what they remind me of is making space in our own lives for uh, to for accidents, to trust that the things we create with um, that there's already a perfection inherent in them. Um, I think there's also a kind of relaxation and mindfulness that comes from doing simple things, not intending to create any one specific product. Oh, yeah, I just got thumbs up from Brandon. Yes, plant those things right now. But you know what? I'll share the link to to the things I was watching before, so you can catch up about those planting updates directly from him. You are the master when it comes to that stuff. Um, the patterns in nature are beautiful, and we can even think about things that we see in our gardens when things are growing again. When you imagine the beautiful face of a flower and how symmetrical that might seem to be, or a spider's web. There are patterns everywhere that create this wonderful world we're a part of, and just by taking some time to to break those patterns down into shapes and lines that we can play with, you can create some really interesting things. I'm also going to invite you to use these shapes you create today to contain any kind of emotional residue that you don't know how to make sense of right now. I know, like I was saying, a lot of our friends, a lot of our family, we're worried for them right now. We can't be close to them, as close as we'd like to be. Some of us may have friends who are at risk, either working to help support us. Some of us might know people who've been impacted by this. Some of us might know folks who have passed away. It's a strange time, and it's not easy to make sense of. So give yourself permission during today's pop-up art studio to just play with patterns, shapes, and color. Nothing more than that. If you'd like, you can make use of some of the techniques we were practicing last week with watercolor. I've got some right here. I've also got some pencil crayons. I've got some waterproof like fine liners and markers here, but I also like using ordinary ballpoint pens that smudge and bleed, because again, what I'm looking for, I suppose what I'm personally seeking is the perfection that's in the imperfection, right? Trusting that it will be beautiful, trusting that it will be exactly what I need it to be today. And when I think about patterns and shapes, when I'm feeling anxious, when I'm feeling particularly lost, not that I'm overwhelmed by any of those things today, I'm just aware of them, kind of scratching at the back of my mind. And yes, Tiffany, your sister's a nurse, so your sister is someone who's out there helping to keep us safe. I hope she's okay. I hope you're okay. And I send her lots of love. I send you both lots of love, okay? We're cheering you. We're cheering you on. So shapes that bring me great comfort. Again, they're simple. Sometimes they're circles, but I found myself reaching back into a pattern that I haven't really used in a long time, the heart shape. So all I'm going to do, and all I invite you to do to start, is create some simple shapes. Choose one that you feel comfortable repeating, one that you can kind of just let take over. The kind of thing you might doodle if you were on the phone with someone, right? And again, we're not looking for perfection. We just want to find a bit of a groove with recreating that pattern again and again and again. And filling the page with it, whatever size you have, whatever kind of paper you have at hand. Maybe you just have old receipts or something. You can use those too. Paper bag, whatever works for you. Just spend some time today with that pattern. I think patterns are one of those things that bring a lot of comfort, as I was mentioning, kind of an active meditation. I wonder, I am not like a person who knits or crochets or cross stitches, although I know you're out there, folks. Um, but I suspect that that is part of the process for folks who love doing those things. You get into the groove, kind of a repetitive motion, something you trust, something you know will result in a certain something. And at the best of times, you can almost forget that you're creating. Your body takes over, your breath takes over. And I know each one of us has something like that in our lives that we can reach out to during this time. And for some folks, it might not be drawing, it might be something else, like I said, knitting, crochet, cross stitch, gardening. I've been finding like planting seeds so incredibly relaxing. Mm. Mm. Yes, nice note B. The repetition of motion and pattern is immensely soothing. Yeah, it's kind of an opportunity to trust and redirect your brain just for a little while. For folks out there who are fans of things like Zentangle or Zendoodle or any of the kind of brand names that came out of that, that was hugely popular for a little while. And again, these are just things we've always done. They just have found an opportunity to rebrand it and present it to us in a new way. And I know this might be asking a lot of people. If you're out there working along with me, you might be thinking, what are we doing? What the heck are we doing? But then again, if you're asking that question, you might not have been a frequent visitor to the living room. So I do like to remind people that creation is about process. Just as much about process, maybe more about process than it is about the product we create. I think actually just bringing it back to gardening for a second, that gardening is so much about that as well. Hello, Adrian. Hello. I think when I first started gardening, again, I'm entirely self-taught. Grabbing a couple of books from the library, watching a couple of gardening shows and thinking, I can do that. Not realizing that the gardening shows I was watching happened to be British gardening shows, so our seasons are completely different. But in any case, still lots of wonderful things to learn. When I first started gardening, I was a little too caught up in the results, if that makes sense to anyone out there. Really focused on trying to find some kind of the perfect solution to creating the perfect thing, to making that tiny seed turn into the picture that it was on the package, right? Why can't it just be the picture on the package? I know you're loving the gardening talk, Brandon. We'll have to have you as a guest, maybe on our Instagram Show and Tell Tuesday chat. Maybe in a couple of weeks. Oh, yeah. Yeah, true. British gardening shows are the best. Monty Don and the whole team. Well, I think they recognize, and perhaps over time, that's what I've learned again, is you can't really control nature. You can manage it, you can have a relationship with it. You can do your best to learn from it. But you know what? In all my time, if those squash beetles want my zucchini plants, they will take them. They will find a way. And it's not worth losing sleep over. It's not worth having an anxiety attack over. You know what? Just I talk to them. I go out in the garden. I ask them not to take all my zucchinis this year. Me versus the zucchini beetle. Oh dear. There's a graphic novel in there somewhere. But for a long time, that's what I would become so stressed doing something that ultimately for so many people in the world is so relaxing. And it doesn't matter even if like if you might not have room, like you might not have a lawn, you might not have a backyard, you might not have an allotment, but if you have a windowsill, if you have a front porch, a place to put a little planter, a bucket, there are still so many things you can grow. And I think during times like this as well, looking on my windowsill and seeing those seedlings pop up, it's been, I think at times, a lifesaver for me. It's been incredibly nurturing, incredibly comforting, knowing that no matter what happens, that pattern, the seed finding the soil, seeking the water, the sun finding the seed, there's a certain pattern in that, a life affirming pattern that brings me enormous comfort. So if there's anyone out there who hasn't yet tried growing something, may I invite you to try, right? Next time someone in your household or yourself, next time someone is able to run out and do the shopping, maybe ask them to pick up a packet of seeds for you and a little bit of soil. It's not a lot of money, not a whole lot of money, right? And you can even find some soil to repurpose from outside. Shh, I won't tell anyone if you steal from the city of Oshawa. I won't tell. Just don't take a whole lot, just like a little bit. Oh no, I'm going to get into trouble now. And it's difficult because there are restrictions right now with gatherings and a whole lot of community gardens who won't be able to engage with the community in the same way they were last summer. My heart goes out to everybody who finds them in that situation. Yeah, all right, we'll figure this out. Gardening Tuesday. Our own garden at the studio is, we have some perennials there. We have some plants that will come out all on their own, and I can't wait to see them and see how they do. But for the large part, we won't be planting anything there as long as we still need to socially distance from one another. And part of that isn't necessarily because we're worried the garden will be overcrowded. It's just that we can't necessarily manage what things look like when we're not there. And we don't want to unintentionally create opportunities where community members are coming together and potentially exposing themselves to the virus without really meaning to. But we'll find a way to keep going somehow. Coffee. But keep an eye out for announcements about gardens, and some of the larger gardens out there might be able to find ways to work with the community in a more regulated fashion to keep people safe. And we'll take it one step at a time. Hey, Christine! Nice to see you, or hear you, or know you're there. So great to see you. We've been talking about gardening. Christine is someone who's been, in the past, Christine Weatherly helped us with our garden at the studio. I think you were the first person to plant sweet potatoes there, which was interesting. I can't remember how that worked out. I know we have a super short growing season up here for sweet potatoes. But I seem to remember there was some success with that. And, oh, yes. Oh. And bee planting aloe plants. Oh, they did not do well. Interesting. Yeah. Keep that conversation going. The kinds of plants that people can propagate Oh, there's a word for you, right? With trimmings or cuttings. Perhaps there's still a way for us to share those and pass those to one another. Hey, if people can share sourdough starters with one another during this time, we can share plant cuttings, right? We can do that. Have little drop offs of, certain things for one another. And aloe, I think, is one of those things that can be propagated. But I've never had much success with that as well. So, Brandon, I'm going to turn that over to you. And Laura, hmm. Oh, Laura, it's been so nice seeing you here. Well, have a good time at work. Take care out there. And thank you for working. I know that, you know, where you're at right now is an essential service all in its own way. And thank you for being there and supporting us, okay? Oh, so Christine's growing some parsley right now. Parsley and garlic. I got my garlic in too late last year. And tiny potatoes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the aloe, I know with certain plants, overwatering them can be the reason, can be the. Um, some plants do not like a lot of moisture. They do not like their roots to be sitting in water. So drainage helps, having good drainage. I know that I have sometimes the plants that everyone says, oh, you can never kill this plant. Those are the plants I usually end up killing. I'm not very good with cacti, I'll be honest with you. Take care, Laura. Okay, stay safe out there. Last year in our backyard, we actually had a lot of success with potatoes. And I've been saving sort of accidentally those potatoes that sometimes you get and then you forget you have them. And then you find them and they're all, kind of going to seed and you're like, "Oh, well, I guess these have now become experimental garden potatoes." So I'm going to try some of those that just came from store-bought potatoes over the winter. I'm going to see how those work. And if I can, maybe, order a few things, maybe see what seed potatoes are still out there. But I grew potatoes in planters in big sort of mixing buckets from Home Depot, as well as the larger sort of fabric. I had a large fabric one from Lee Valley. Oh, interesting. So Brandon's saying certain aloe varieties like to produce little babies through roots. Remember, it's a succulent, so like you say, don't overwater. Oh, Brandon, I see. Hmm, hmm. Maybe a gardening show for you. I don't know. Maybe. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah, Christine puts little rocks in the pot for drainage, uses a spray bottle to water them. So there you go. Don't give up, bee. You too can create and take care of an aloe plant. Working on patterns. Oh my gosh, look at the hearts. So many hearts. I needed these. What else? So I have filled this entire page with my pattern. And again, it's an imperfect kind of thing. Repetitive shapes. I'm feeling okay with that. I want to move on and do more though. think he's in this old page. I'm not sure what it's from. Looks like some kind of history book. I'm not sure. Or maybe an encyclopedia. Interesting. Usually I have a really tough time repurposing books. It's very difficult for me to think of destroying a book. But these ones were destined for recycling, so we gave them a new life at the living room. Okay, so yes, Brandon was talking about seed companies are sold out of potatoes. Was that it? Maybe. Yeah. You know what? This is a time where we're going to make do with what we have, right? The upside of that, of companies being sold out of certain things, it means that more people are experimenting with gardening. Most people are, using this as an opportunity to, nurture themselves in a new way. I can't be upset with that. Ah, yes, aloe as a remedy or a treatment for burning. Yeah. Aloe is one of those. I have a memory of my sister getting a horrible sunburn when she was younger, when we were both much younger, and aloe plants being used. That was the only thing that could help. It was a yeah. I remember thinking, what a miracle nature is. And don't put baby oil on to suntan. It was the 80s. That happened. Let's see, what am I going to do here? Back to potatoes for a moment. Just because the seed potatoes are, certain things being sold out. One of my favorite stories about the garden at the studio. One year, one of our coordinators, it must have been M, they had a big sack of potatoes. They weren't seed potatoes. Again, they weren't meant to be seed potatoes. They just happened to be potatoes that went to seed, and they dropped them off because M reuses, repurposes, sort like forages, finds everything they can possibly use to grow. A remarkable innovator. No one ever, it's like no one's ever told M, you can't do that. M's just always, been, well, why not? Why don't we try? So they brought this giant bag of potatoes that had gone to seed, and we had them out. I think we had them out in the shed, and that time we did not have a lock for our shed. And it was before we'd really done much in the garden. I think it was early April, late March, early April, and I remember it being very, very cold, just like this. Sort of like too cold to get out there and comfortably work in the garden for any length of time. And we came in one day to the studio, and two fellows from the community had decided, I guess, to investigate our shed. Not a big deal at that time. They'd found the big bag of potatoes, and they thought, well, let's plant them. And they filled our garden, every container, every raised bed. They filled every container with potatoes. We had no idea. We didn't know at first what they'd done until the potatoes started coming up. Because one of our thoughts when they told us, yeah, we planted some, was, well, it's too cold. It's too early to plant potatoes. Why would you do that? And that is when I learned that, yeah, sometimes you can plant potatoes when it's really freaking cold outside. They took a lot longer to go to seed again, but we were finding potatoes growing throughout our garden throughout the entire year, and they were fine. So never say never. Maybe not be traditional, may not be the way it has been done before, but why not give it a go? Potato City. That's what it felt like. It felt like a very like a secret society of potatoes in our studio garden that year. Um, and it really worked out lovely because throughout the year people would come and harvest them. And because there's no gate on our yard or anything like that, the tenants didn't like it so much. But yeah, people were able to come and harvest little things here and there, and that was really lovely, right? Mm. So many potatoes. They were everywhere. Is anyone doing anything special for Earth Day today? I think all of humanity has maybe given the Earth an accidental gift. It, and I'm not going to, I mean, it's no time to talk about bright sides, or it could be very difficult to talk about positive things that are coming out of this without feeling a little bit guilty. But it does give me hope. I find great inspiration, great comfort whenever I hear a story about wildlife returning to an area where it hasn't been before, or people being able to see their world, their cities, their landscapes with new eyes, to be able to see things that they had not been able to see before because of pollution. We know that things aren't healed, things are not fixed, but perhaps, for some folks, maybe having something new to appreciate about the world they're a part of, maybe that will change something inside of them. Maybe it will shift things. So every little change makes a difference, right? Okay. Oh, here we go. Oh, lovely. Christine's going to paint flowers. Yes, and the patterns in flowers. We were talking about that. Oh, so Christine's going to paint flowers for Earth Day. Beautiful. Brandon's watching shark water extinction. Okay, is that, I think I've heard about this. That sounds intense. Um, and uplifting at the same time because sharks are quite beautiful. And Bee's asking, interesting, does anyone know if human hair is helpful for birds and animal nests? Because if so, my Earth Day project will be to bring the hair I'm going to cut off to the creek path. Okay, this is an interesting question. I know that I have used dryer lint before because I don't use any chemical, like any fabric softeners or anything. So sometimes untreated dryer lint can be very nice for birds' nests and things like that, squirrel nests. Human hair, interesting. Yeah, heard that it is not 100%. Good question. Brandon, any thoughts on that? Human hair, trimmings, things like that? In the past, I know that I've put cat hair in my garden to help kind of ward off critters. Has it worked? I don't know. Um, I guess it depends on the scent, I suppose. Over time, I imagine it would kind of biodegrade enough that the scent wouldn't become an issue anymore, so it could get used. I'm not sure, but good for you for cutting your hair. Holy. Having the bravery to give yourself a haircut. I think you're going to see a lot of just like crazy ponytails like this from me for a long time. So, okay, so hair actually deters animals because of human scent, but after the scent is washed off, it will be used. So says Brandon, our gardening guru. Thank you, Brandon. So that's the other thing too. I think wildlife are pretty clever, much more clever than us. I think with a lot of things, when the time is right, they'll know how to use it. If not now, then later. Okay. Again, if people want to share pictures of what they're creating out there, please do. I've already encouraged Kiri to share some of those paint pours, but only if you feel like it. Only if you feel like it. Hey, Wendy. Nice seeing your name. Hair is great. I think you're referring to like use in certain things in the garden. Anything that biodegrades, anything that's natural, you know, I think will get used in some capacity. Sometimes it's just about knowing how it gets used. I have uh, a composter. It's just kind of like a shelf composter. And I'm vegan, so I don't, there's no meat in my house anyway, so there's nothing like that that goes into it. But almost everything, like so much stuff gets put in there. And it's amazing over the course of a summer. We rarely have compost to use because it just sort of can biodegrades so much that we never really have a lot of compost to use because we don't create that much waste. So we always have to outsource our compost. Oh, yeah. So Wendy puts out strings and threads from projects. Um, yeah, depending on and I know that there are organizations out there who, again, I have to fact check this for me, please, everyone. But there have been some agencies that have put out instructions on how to make nests for certain critters that can build upon them or expand upon them. Of course, like making bug hotels, things like that, as long as the threads and everything like that is condensed enough, I'm sure that in making a nice bug hotel, that nice little things like that would fit into those crevices and nooks and crannies really nicely. I think we're getting ready to shoot some videos here in the next week or so, and I might invite Samantha Willett to come on by and help us. Oh, no, I can't, can I? Well, maybe I'll see if she'll like to make us a video about a bug hotel because she makes an amazing bug hotel. Again, I forget. I'm chatting to you folks, and I forget that you're not even here with me. So thank you. Thank you for that. I think the kinds of threads and things like that. I know I'm looking at my little thread basket here. They are usually quite short. I think anyone who's having 4 cats in the house, we have to make sure all our threads are tied off and put away and accounted for. One of our kitties, we learned that the hard way. And Kaylee swallowed some thread when we first had her when she was just a little kitten. And we almost lost her because it can get tangled up in all the wrong ways inside of them. And I know sometimes with birds and things like that, if it's long, it can get tangled up outside of them as well. Fishes as well, when things are find their ways into our watersheds, our water tables. But I think if they're short enough, again, nature takes a hand in it as well. And if they're weathered, they get made use of. Again, nature is remarkably resilient. We're the ones that kind of have to watch out. Hmm. So Christine made a little home for toads in the last place you lived. You had a whole toad family living there? Tell me more, please. And if you feel like illustrating that, I wouldn't mind that either. So what does a home for toads look like? And where would you have a home for toads? Is it near water? Is that an assumption that I'm making? That it would have to be near some water source, or do toads tend to live in many different habitats? I don't know. I think we're quite lucky in Oshawa that we are so close that we do, at least in central Oshawa, um, we have that beautiful creek, part of the watershed system, and that water. Hello, Shelley. Hello again. We, I don't think I certainly didn't realize just how important the watershed was to us here, living here. And I think we're so very lucky that we can take a 5 or 10 minute walk and be so close, immediately close to wildlife. It is such an important part of our ecosystem. That's so much more than just the running of the salmon that you see in the fall. It's amazing. And I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this, but having the opportunity to go for, that one walk a day, when Alice, our dog, takes us out on a walk, it's just, I'm appreciating it much more than I ever have before. Just noticing the wildlife, noticing things not coming back to life because they already are alive, but I suppose it's how all these beautiful living things are engaging and interacting with one another. It's a conversation that I would love to have more understanding of. I'd love to know what it is they're talking about, what the trees are saying to one another. I think it's time for some color, folks. Yeah. So at this stage, at least for me with the patterns, it's been a really difficult week, the last few weeks. I think what I'd like to do is each one of these hearts I want to imagine as someone in my life, something in my life that's important to me. And as I fill it in with color and develop it and work on it, I'm going to let that person talk to me. Yeah. Yes. Alice taking us on walks has been, again, I love cats. But cats are kind of like, yeah, whatever, you're here. Great. No offense. No offense to all the lovely cats that are out there. No offense to my cats. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't eat my face while I'm sleeping. But Alice needs to go outside, and she demands it in such a delightful way. And if Alice wasn't in our life at this time, I don't know if I'd actually get outside as much as I do. It's easy for me to forget to take a breath, to take a moment. Again, like I was saying at the beginning, I have to build in that time to my day, right? And as far as understanding or wanting to understand what dogs are thinking, yeah, I'm constantly wondering about that with Alice. I think she's part basset hound, so her sense of smell is off the charts. And every once in a while, she will catch the scent of something, and you can tell because the quality of her sniffing changes and it becomes kind of snorty, like she's just gobbling scent and nose to the ground, and those beautiful hound ears kind of gathering the scent in to direct it to her nose. It's astonishing, right? Again, that lovely wild animal. Well, not wild, domesticated, but all that information she's gathering. I'd love to know how she's making sense of it too. Yes, Brandon, cats are amazing. I apologize. I apologize. I've got four. I've got four cats. Love them most of the time. Most of the time. But cats are like, I always feel like I'm like, I don't know, like a roommate or something. Just like, you're like, yeah, yeah, make sure hey, we're out of this next, like they're just demanding in a very weird and I don't know about them. I don't know about them, guys. I know. I'm gonna get messages about this. I'm gonna get messages. I love cats. I love them. I just don't trust them. That's it. That's it. I just. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They're delightful. They really are. Why would I have four of them if I didn't love them? Because they convinced me. No, never mind. They didn't brainwash me. The cats have no superpowers. No superpowers at all. Yes, cats are more independent. Thank you, Christine, for reframing that in a way that is responsible. Although, Brandon, since you brought it up, how do you prevent your cats from eating your plants? I found one of my cats, Kaylee, trying to climb inside one of the mini greenhouses that I had on the ledge. I was watering the seedlings this morning, turned around, and she was halfway in there. What happens? How do you do? I know lilies, you're not supposed to have lilies. So folks, if you've got cats, any lily plant, not a good idea. But yeah, they want to get gardening too. And I haven't really found a surefire way of keeping them out of the plants. Sometimes they just like making a nice big bed in the plants. And the potted plants I have, like the house plants, haven't found a way to ask them politely not to do that. I tried doing little toothpicks planted in the pot. They're smart. They just learn how to press them over. Hmm. So if anyone out there has tips for keeping cats out of the house plants, let me know. Let's see. Hmm. Many hearts on this page. There's a lot of folks I'm thinking of. A lot of folks. If anyone would like me to add in a heart for you, for someone that you're thinking of, let me know. Hello, Amanda. What? Amanda joining us? Oh my goodness, it's so great to know you're out there. Hello, hello, hello. So, how have you been keeping busy creatively, Amanda? There's been a few requests here and there. So, everyone, I'm just on a little living room business. I've been doing my best to keep up with all the emails and the messages and the requests that are coming through. I know there's some folks out there in the community who uh, find themselves without art supplies. And I'm trying to figure out a way to collectively make sure everyone has some supplies to find some way to distribute them. So when I figure out what that looks like, um, I'll send out a message. I'll let everyone know so that if there's something you need from the studio, that we can find a way to get it to you. Again, it's one of those things. I want to make sure we can do it safely. I want to make sure that it we're not sending out any intentional sort of unsafe messages to the community. And the studio is just one of those places. If people see that it's open, if they see someone in there, they want to come on in, right? So figuring out ways to share those things manageably and safely. I'm working on it. We're figuring out. We got a couple of plans. Yeah, a lot of folks are missing the living room. I'm missing the living room. Yeah. We're not sure what things will look like in the near future. Okay? It's really important that we do our best to keep people safe. And because what we do involves community members coming together, all different community members from all different walks of life, it's a challenging thing to maintain social distancing while that is happening. So this whole experience has really made us, at least made me, re-examine what placemaking is all about, what uh, what community is all about, what it means to create community. And I think experiences like this, when folks reach out and say hi, and I know there are also folks who are watching who aren't commenting, or maybe we're on in the background, and that's totally okay. If you're out there and you're watching, you're listening, maybe you're making art with us, maybe you're doing your own thing, that is entirely okay. You do you. That's that that's what matters most, right? But things like this remind me that community is not so much about the place, it's about the people who create that place. So for the next little while, maybe for a longer time than a little while, we're going to have to we're going to be thinking about creating community through people alone and not the place where we gather. And we're going to try and get creative about how we do that and how we reach out to people, because not everyone has access to Wi-Fi or internet. Ah, I miss your smiling face too, Amanda. Yeah. And just figuring out how we can connect without being physically together. And yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. Okay? This is one of those experiences, I think, that changes things for everyone, not just us. I think a lot of places will have to adjust what they do and how they do it so that people can be safe. And it won't always look like this, but things might change for a few months yet. And we're doing the same thing that everybody's doing. We're looking, we're listening, we're seeing how things are changing, what people are saying. And when we have some more information for folks, we will let you know, okay? We promise. And the thing that I have always thought, and this continues now, whatever happens with the living room, I want it to be something that we can celebrate together. So in the worst case scenario, and something happened to the studio where the space itself had to go away for a little while. Uh, we would find other ways of connecting with people and providing creative support. We'd hustle, do everything we can to maintain that sense of community and connection. Uh, and I think to remind people that it's with every challenge, there is an opportunity, right? We can make meaning of this experience and we can, oh, it's kind of like championing ourselves to a small extent, right? What are the things we can celebrate? What are the things we can cherish? What are the things uh, we can nurture in ourselves and honor to carry forward? There's going to be a lot of unexpected things we learn about ourselves and our strengths, who we are, right? We're learning from one another. We're learning from how we connect. And what I do know is that even at the worst of times, this community, the people I've met through the living room, the people I've met online through the living room, at the end of the day, struggles and all, warts and all, I come away from having you in my life, I feel inspired. I feel empowered. I know I'm not alone. Ah, nice, nice, nice. Nice. Okay. Oh, wonderful. So Brandon and Adrian are heading to the park to pick up some trash. Oh, lovely. Thank you for doing that. It's been great spending time with you here too, Brandon. We will. We'll keep up the content. We'll keep on connecting. You too. I'll be in contact soon to talk about Show and Tell Tuesday, all about gardening. And thank you for helping clean up our parks. It's been a windy week. It's been a windy, windy week. There's trash everywhere. It's so great when people like Brandon and Adrian just decide to, do a little support for the community, take care of Mother Earth a little bit. What a great way, what a great gift for Earth Day. But again, recommending if you can, do it safely, right? If you've got gloves, and I'm sure they do, just making sure you have all the things you need to do it safely and manageably. And of course, that you're washing your hands when you get back. We do what we can with what we have. But yeah, what this community gives me is a sense of excitement, empowerment, creativity. I think however the studio evolves, that's going to be a part of it. And every change, every development will be an opportunity to celebrate what's coming up, rather than just thinking about what we might be leaving or losing, right? Because there's always something new. There's always something new and unexpected and fantastic that can come out of the changes that we have to make, right? Always an opportunity. And Amanda mentioned that she was stretching. That is fantastic. I'm hoping that a lot of us have found time to reconnect with our physical selves during this time too. I know I've been doing more meditating, more yoga. I think I needed that. So this has given me, it's helped me reclaim some of my self-care practices that I'd let fall by the wayside. Amanda, if you're out there still watching, how are folks in the community? You're probably seeing some faces that I haven't seen in a long time. If you see them, when you see them next, you say hello. Let them know we're thinking of them. And Christine saying too, just again, being reminded of like the creativity that we're seeing overflowing everywhere during this time. People making art, people sharing art, people having time to explore the creation of art in new and unexpected ways. It's amazing, right? On some days there's actually so much art going on. There's so much creativity that I can't handle it. There's just, I need to sort of narrow my lens a little bit. But artists do things. That's what we do. We tell stories, we create, we connect. Good times and bad. Christine, are you working on flowers right now? I have the most beautiful Christine flower. Actually, you can probably see it over my shoulder when I move. I got that. I purchased that from the artist at the Women's Maker Market that happened, was it early March? I believe it was, because March was International Women's Month. So that was one of the last markets that I was able to get out to and to support local artists. And Christine was one of the artists that was there. So if you can see it over my shoulder, it's gorgeous. I still need to find a frame for it. But for now, it's okay. It's there. It's talking to me. Creatively talking to me. You're painting fruit. So Christine is painting fruit, everyone. Also a lovely Earth Day kind of thing. Very classical thing. Classical content with Christine. For those of you who haven't checked out her pages, you do still have a Society 6 page, Christine? Christine has a really lovely little art shop where you can purchase prints and journals with her paintings on them and all sorts of other really cool things. So if you missed that market and you didn't have your chance to get out there, you can still find cool stuff. And that's a really great way to support artists in the meantime. If a lot of the manufacturing places have sort of limited what they're producing during this time for safety, but there are still some items you can buy, and when you support a local artist, yeah, well, you're helping them get by in very, very difficult times. Because the arts and community things are often the first things to not be forgotten about. But it's difficult to prioritize art and culture when people are getting sick and hurting. So I try not to be upset about that. Try and keep it in perspective. As things return to a kind of normal, or when we find out what the normal looks like for us now, there'll be opportunities to show that support again. And from time to time to treat ourselves, right? It's still important when you can, if you can. And when we do treat ourselves and splurge a little bit, maybe we'll think a little bit more about where we're investing our money and who we're supporting by spending that money. Just become a little more mindful of that. All these hearts. Is anyone else out there working on patterns right now? It's okay if you're not. I think what I'm creating is reminding me, sort of Feels like postage stamps. Yeah, support local artists. Oh, wow. Okay, so Christine, nice. So painting the fruit, and then Christine is going to paint the flowers of those fruits. Wow, love it. Love it. And be with, yeah, supporting local artists. How important is that? Supporting local businesses as well. For folks, if you're not in Oshawa, wherever you're at, I imagine there are a lot of local businesses that are doing their best during this time. If you can, not everyone can, not everyone has the money or the ability to do so, but if you can support folks, especially those small independent businesses, by purchasing gift cards or doing curbside pickup purchases when you can, when it's appropriate, when it's safe, um, it's a lovely way just to remind them that they're still a part of your community, that you'll be here for them throughout this process, right? The way they're there for us right now. Oh, nice. Bee's doing some pattern doodles in your handmade feelings journal. Okay, I like this feelings journal. I've got a couple of journal ideas, journal making ideas in my pocket, ready to create some videos about. I'm really hopeful that I'll be able to film them this week or next week and get them out there for folks. Especially using materials that we might have lying around, cardboard. For me, at least, if there's any other fiber folks out there who sew using leftover scraps to just sort of piece things together in a crazy quilt kind of way. So as you see, just taking time with a simple pattern can take you to some interesting places. I think, for those folks who are out there working on their journals, these little pieces might find their way into a journal or a zine. Right? Or I might listen to that theme of postage stamps and maybe I'll find my way to creating some snail mail for folks. I think after this video ends, I'll probably take some time to work on them with pencil crayons as well. I've really fallen in love with working on top of watercolor with pencil crayon lately. I just love the texture. I love having that base of color underneath and just, again, playing with lines and textures to deepen the colors, to draw out certain images that might be within it. I might even get the sewing machine out afterwards. And just hearing what Wendy was saying about using those leftover threads. For any sewers out there, you know how annoying it can get when you get to the end, near the end of a spool, and you don't have enough to really make much with that. And you don't want to run out in the middle of a project. I've got a few of those going on right now. And what I might do actually is stitch on this paper and see what happens. Maybe I'll add some embellishments with that thread to use up all those little bits and pieces. Christine's asking for any recommendations. Journals for watercolor and collages. Your journals are struggling. Oh, your poor journals. Now, do you mean the journals that have a weight of paper that can hold kind of a mixed media salt of water and everything else that might go with it. Um, I know that, let's see, what have I been using? Again, opinions are my own. We have no affiliations, but I have been using some Strathmore mixed media papers, both. They have a watercolor notebook and this mixed medium journal here. Again, it's a wire bound, so it's nice. You can flip it open and sit it flat on things. Um, I know that you can buy these at Curry's. I think you could probably order them from Above Ground Art as well. They've got a lot of really interesting new things in this season. Their stores are, of course, like Curry's, I imagine, running on smaller staffs, but they're still there. They're still there to answer your questions, make recommendations. Another thing that I like to do as well is work, if I have stronger paper, work on that, and then, of course, apply it, put it into my journal, just sort of stick it in there. Buckling badly, yeah, it depends. I don't know enough about weight of paper. Let's get that over here. Again, I'm more of an accidental artist, but this is a pad that I really enjoy using of watercolor. It's 140 pound. So if you can find that, if you can order that, I think I picked this up at Curry's, but again, other art stores, other online ordering places will have that for you as well. And it's nice and thick. It's a nice cardstock kind of quality. So you can fold it, you can crimp it, you can do lots of interesting things with it. It'll hold up to a lot of things. So perhaps it's about the 140 pound. Yeah, it's interesting. My mixed media paper buckles a little bit, but I can usually flatten it afterwards, press it down once it dries to, make it behave the way I want it to. I think it's just a matter of exploring. And of course, everyone's watercolor techniques, each one of us works in a slightly different way. Like the amount of color, the pigments, the watercolors we use. So just exploring and finding what's right for you. But if it helps, I find that brand has been really helpful and tolerates my washes of water and my lack of, formal training or technique. So if it works for me, chances are it might work for you too. But you can always call them. I think even though stores are closed, even though they might be working at curbside pickup, I think it's important to remember that we can still connect with them, and they have folks there. So do not hesitate if you have questions about supplies, whether they're gardening supplies or art making supplies. Reach out and just ask, right? Send them an email, give them a call. There'll be somebody there who can help you. They might not be able to get back to you right away, but if art making, if these things are part of your wellness routine, a part of taking care of yourself, then I do consider them kind of essential pieces, right? And if you're, listening and abiding by all the rules that are being put in place, you're also supporting local businesses that could really use your support during this time. So not such a bad thing. Reach out, connect, call, ask, right? Also, a lot of places are doing their own live streams and Q&A kind of sessions. So it wouldn't surprise me if Curry's or Above Ground Art or other smaller places like that, sort of independently owned places or franchises locally, had people providing services like that. I mean, even Indigo Bookstore is doing live stream interviews with authors. I think checking in to see if there's a schedule. And my friend Brendan just did one last week. Again, we're all looking for new ways to connect and be of support and service to one another. So I think it's a great opportunity to learn things about one another and to celebrate and applaud what works, right? Let's teach them how they can provide service for us in the future. Make it personal again. Let's build those relationships. But in any case, yeah. Bee's got great advice. Yeah, Canson Mixed Media Sketchbook. It's great too. I've used that paper before as well. And yeah, over 120 pounds should be good. I think that is a nice thickness. It holds the water. Just play. You know what you're doing, Christine. You're awesome. I think I might begin wrapping things up for today. It's 3:25. I think, yeah, I've got a lot of work to still do here. More watercolor, more pencil crayon. I think I'll come back in with some of that, the ink, but maybe some ballpoint pen as well. Get a little sloppy with that. And for each one of these hearts that I've made today, so many hearts, as you can see. Each one of these hearts represents one of you out there. I'm thinking of you. I'm sending you loads and loads of love. Oh, Carlos Castle is here. It's good to see you, Carlos. I'm just wrapping up. There's a heart in here for you too. Yes, all of these hearts for folks out there that I'm thinking of, that I'm sending love to, wellness to, near or far, hoping everyone is okay. For those who aren't doing okay, that's okay too. All right? It's okay to not feel okay in these strange times. And don't hesitate, anybody who's out there listening, to reach out for support if you need it. You can connect with us, and there's a million different resources out there, people who are still there to help you, to provide that support for you, whether it's art-based support, gardening support, or wellness, physical health, mental health. Don't be afraid to reach out, okay? They're still there for you. Yes, thank you for taking time and making patterns with me today. If anyone's got work out there they want to share, I'd love to see it. And until next time, which would be, I guess, our next live stream is Tuesday. I want everyone to take care, and thanks for hanging out today. Until we can connect again in person, I look forward to connecting with you again here online. All right? And now I'm going to let Alice take me for a walk so I can enjoy some of this beautiful sunshine, even though I suspect it is fairly chilly out there. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, and take care of yourselves. Send your artwork. Let's see it. Let's share it. Continue the conversation after this ends on the Facebook page if you like. Yeah, look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye. There we go. End live video. Aw. Bye.